Okay, I'm just going to play the Araka game. I'm starting from the back end of of all the list of games. I'm getting quite interested in these videos. I quite enjoy doing them, and I quite actually enjoy watching them. So I'm going to do lots. This basically the first game that I did. A lot has actually changed. Now I've got artillery ranged fire. A lot of the hexes have changed. Um, just to sort of run over this little game. And essentially, it's black people with these green ones versus everyone else. Historically, this was the Syrian army, and they basically ran away. I'm not sure that they were scared. I mean, essentially, it was, I think, more of a political thing. The fact that they probably had a lot of sympathisers in there, and they basically didn't hold their ground against these units. Now, I'm not sure how representative these numbers of units here are of what ISIS actually had. So it might not necessarily be a balanced game. But the thing with this game, the result of this battle was that these units left and these units entered, and I think even today, February 2016, ISIS still hold Raqqa as their capital. So this was actually, there was no battle for Raqqa, they just left. But obviously this game is a battle, so I'm going to sort of play. I don't think I'm necessarily going to go through the whole thing. All the units are on the table, only there are the Syrian Arab Air Force with their MiG-23 that arrives on turn 10. Now the thing is, that was after the Syrian army left. So they get 25 sorties, which is loads. That's 25 turns. But after turn 10, when all these guys have left, the Syrian Air Force come in and start bombing things. I mean, essentially, the point being, it was a bit late by then. So anyway, I'm going to play. And as with a lot of these games, just so I haven't sorted it out, potentially apologising for it, but the first turn is a bit odd. It isn't quite synced. Once it gets past that, it does. But so I predict that will be an issue. But so essentially, I don't really know what the strategy here would be. But I've got this artillery. I think it only makes sense to use it on this. So what I have done, which is new, we now got the depression factors on the mouse overs there. So that was 3-to-1 odds, defend or retreat. Now because it was artillery from a ranged hex, they don't retreat. So they don't retreat, but they did. Essentially, that just needs to be sorted out. If it's air power, they don't retreat. But essentially, what I will be doing is artillery fire. If it's just artillery, that's the point. If it's only artillery in a ground combat, as we just did, they won't retreat. They only retreat if something enters the hex. So, but that's just a little game foible. I mean, he retreated, so that's just tough. He's got 3 fatigues now. I mean, interestingly enough, it demonstrates how powerful a fairly large artillery unit can be against a small unit in the open. In some of the other games I've been videoing, the artillery's been pretty poor. Now, I haven't really thought about how I'm going to do this. One of the things I did sort of contemplate was, well, this isn't quite right, but it is a division. Really, a division should be sort of over 20 units strong. So this is a very early game, and I think I was underplaying a lot of the unit sizes. Now, even these should be sort of 3, 3, 3. So these are quite small. So these are all very small units when you consider it should be a division. I'm not entirely sure that I want to really start attacking these units. But if I leave him there, that could be okay. What's under there? This is 2 lots of those. See, what's going to happen is these ISIS people are going to pour down here and start attacking. And I don't think I have enough units to open up. I complete sort of defensive line. How many units have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I could just about squeeze in a defensive line across there. So let's just see. The thing is, I don't necessarily want to. One thing I'm thinking about is the road network, and really, when I do urban hexes, the road network should be completely open. Anyway, I don't know. These units probably took a little longer to get there. I think I might try and trash that. If I can do it in one turn. You've got no movement points. Let's turn blues. Okay. Points. Points. Okay. That's the first turn. Just took almost half the thing. Okay. So, ISIS. Two, three, 4, 5. I'm not sure what my strategy is at the moment. I don't have a strategy. Currently, I am actually going to rebuild the movement system so that it can accept fractions. And at the moment, it's technically competent. It's all done by integers, which is a bit of a pain because I want the desert to be 1.5. At the moment, it's 2, which makes it very slow going. But motorized can do 3. Motorized are quite fast, but I don't think it should be. Well, I don't know. I mean, infantry they're just painfully slow. Now, one of the things about the terrain that does appeal to me about it being slow is that I do want to restrict movement to some extent because of they're such small maps. Maybe the motorized track movement is too much, so that there is a far smaller scope for sort of just sort of manoeuvring, just to make the map feel bigger, so that it takes maybe 6 or 7 turns to get from one side of the map instead of just 2 or 3, making the map feel as though it's got more areas and sections to it. But anyway, now I think what I want to do is the ISIS player, and it will take quite a while, is actually wait until I get all these slow units, which for some reason have been put in this part of the board here, before I actually then start attacking. The only drawback to that is I'm going to keep getting this artillery as the ISIS player every turn. Now here, it's a difficult one really, because they're going to be in light urban, they're going to be doubled to 4, so it's only going to be a 1-to-1, and no matter what I do, I'm going to get counter-attacked. So I think they're going to harass this flank, but nothing else. So it's now Syrian turn. and I think hammering these units might be a good long-term. I don't want to move him in. So again, when you put your mouse over, you can see that this unit has got no depression factors. This unit has 2. That's actually a new thing. Nothing mind-blowing about that. And that is an exchange. So now you can see that this guy's got 3 depressions and this guy has got 1. And the artillery didn't get any because they don't get them when they're ranged. So we're reducing their capability down there, possibly with the intention that in a few turns I can just go in and envelop them and destroy them, or at least make them fairly useless. I think as long as I can keep my depression factors high, and then there's my depression factors low, and there's high, that's pretty much the way to go, because it affects the ability to actually engage in combat. Whereas if you start just attacking and attacking, your depression goes up at the same rate. You can attack forever, but the whole idea is to get, especially like hit points, but it affects their ability to fight. So move him there, and there, and there. I'm going to move him there. And give me the option to counter strike, and that's that. Now the ISIS player, of course, is going to they're forming up against the clock, because this artillery is just going to hammer them bit by bit. But they are essentially, in my opinion, forming up. Now, what we don't have in the game at the moment that will be brought into play is what I call attrition fire. So if I were to move there, at the moment, unless I actually attack it, I can't do anything. So although this is artillery, they can't fire into that hex because they're not artillery. But if they were if the ISIS player moved into that hex, I would be able to fire as attrition fire, but I'd also be able to fire the unit below, also as attrition fire, without committing to combat. And that would basically, I think, what I am thinking, a quarter factor for normal units and half or 3/4 factor from armoured units that are basically firing indirect high explosives or whatever it is they do, just sort of shelling an area. Okay. Now that unit's on the road. Interesting to see how roads work. I'm deliberately just trying to keep a hex away, not because it actually makes any difference, but I kind of don't want to just allow the other player to start making assaults without actually forming up, without actually coming out of the city. Okay, and these units are going to move here. Now they can't move into there because it's a zone of control. We can only move one space. Once you move into a zone of control, even from a zone of control, that's your rate to turn over, even though they, in theory, have some movement left. But I think what I'm doing here is I'm putting the pressure on this flank. Without that, these units could all quite a stronger front along here. Obviously, the Syria player will probably move this way, but time's getting on, so it's going to be a little break. But as you're watching this video, you probably won't notice that there's going to be joining videos in about 8 seconds. So see you in the next video. Well, after another break that you didn't notice. I'm back. So clearly Syria has a line. Remember, this is the Free Syrian Army, which means they're not actually part of this bunch of units. I think ISIS people have moved. Yes. Yes. Okay. So it's now the Syrian move, and this unit's now becoming a little irritating. 2-1, defender retreats. This will be interesting. Yeah, interesting because they didn't retreat over the river. I mean, currently, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I think they would have chosen there first, then there, then there, then there, and or there, and there, or something like that. Usually it goes down, but it didn't go over the river, which is nice. And it's also nice because it now means that I don't have to really move as quickly. Plus, they've got probably a lot more fatigues. I mean, that is down to 50%. If they keep coming, I'll be able to counterattack. So this artillery is proving really useful. Taken no hit, no attacks, no damage yet at all. Now, I think that ISIS are really going to come from the east and hammer this edge, and all my defence is down here. Now, what I was contemplating during the break was actually leaping out of here, because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 units, so that's 8 in the plane, and that would be 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, so that would be 2-1 plus 20% surround. So I'd get over 2-1, 20%, I wouldn't get 3-1, but 2-1 coming out of defences, it would be a tie. Now, one thing I think to bear in mind, although maybe not, I don't want to speak too soon, so I'll bear that in mind on turn 3, see if it still has any effect. The question is, do I try and attack that stag whilst it's a stag? I'm not sure. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. Well, what I was thinking about was when they become entrenched, because now I'm entrenched, like dug in. But because this was one of the first games I did, I was unsure whether or not that rule would affect. So I mean, this guy. The question is, does he actually try and do anything with that unit? That is a difficult one. I think I really don't know. Let's move these units down. This is what I'm waiting for, and I've calculated that it's going to take about 4 turns to get all my units up there. Yes. So what about these units here? I think what I want to do, they're fatigue 3. I think if I do that, that splits them up so they can't both take artillery hits. It makes them more vulnerable, but it comes out of it being dug in, well, you can't take both. It's still putting some pressure on at this end. So here, artillery. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can't hit that one. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I think I'm going to fire my artillery at this unit now. It's a longer shot, metaphorically, but it was 1 to 2, long shot, but I got an exchange. So now I've just given all these units 1 fatigue, or 1 depression, which is really quite effective, because they're now at 90% of what they were, and I've lost nothing so far. Now here, I know that this unit is only worth 50%, so I could get 2 to 1 odds on that with just a simple assault in this direction. But I still think I'm going to, although this unit now will be able to edge into there. However, this unit, there's nothing harassing that hex yet, so very possibly commit both these units to fighting these units, or at least defending from them, like that. And that's a little vulnerable, but I think that will do. So, now, the ISIS player, probably getting a bit frustrated with this artillery. They really don't want to hang around too long, but getting their infantry there is the big thing. Now, this infantry is now on the road, and they should all have now. Do they try and, because I can't really, next turn there'll be 1, 2, 3, they'll be able to form up there. I think what I'm going to do with the ISIS player, because they're quite mobile, they can actually do this. I haven't really thought this strategy through. It's the sort of game I think you need to play a few times, and then you start to develop a way of thinking about approaching it. I think I'm going to just attack on this side. It seems a bit weak. I didn't do anything with those, so I forgot about them. But I think they're probably just as well, just sitting there, hassling this flank. Artillery. Well, I think the artillery, 1, 2, 3, 4, is going to try it against this unit here. Exchange, well, that's nice. This artillery is proving quite nice, really, because they're getting a lot of fatigues, depressions, and they can't do much about it. Now, I think I'm going to shuffle round. I think over here it's a sort of all or nothing, really. They're clearly manoeuvring that way. The movement points that they have left. 2. possibly get 3-1 against that. I'll leave that. What can he possibly do here? He can move there, there, and maybe attack into here. No movement. Okay. The ISIS player. Oh. Whilst they won't be able to do anything, we're going to make contact now with an assault along the western side of the city. Yep, I didn't think too far ahead, not far ahead enough really on this. I think we should have fairly good odds into there. 1-1. That was it. An exchange. So this 2 little manpower unit dug in, held out against all of these bad guys. One to one, attacker retreats. Let's see where they retreat to. Oh, look at that, he retreated into the city. That is, I mean, he was there, he retreated that way. To be quite honest, that's not impossible. I should have covered it, so that's in their advantage, but it's not necessarily simple as that. Not necessarily a perfect thing for them. I think he's going to move there, and now this will at least harass this side. Okay, so it's looking pretty good for the Assyrians. Artillery fire first. Well, I think it just might be worth firing artillery into this huge stack here. The odds might not be that good, but if I can get an exchange... No, attack or retreat. 1 to 2. Well, I had an exchange like that before. I mean, that would have been quite a lot of units fatigued. Now, I think it goes without saying, we're going to have to attack that little unit down there. Three to 1 and an exchange. Well, he might be able to advance, but he's not going to find it that easy. Now this unit will be able to get into there next turn. There's not much I can do to stop it unless I move this unit. I can only move 1 in that direction. Let's move him there, him there. And I think this guy is going to move in this direction as a reserve. And I think that's going to be about it. I'll have to have a break. It's a 15-minute video sequence. Well, whatever I was thinking about this one, perhaps moving in that direction, but I'll have to wait. Okay, well, back from a little break there, and didn't think too much. But what I did think was that it's turn 5, turn 10, the Syrians will start to get their air power in, which will, I think, depending on how it looks like in turn 10, it's going to be one way or the other. So, what I was thinking was maybe rushing out and doing an attack there. It's sort of difficult. I think I'm going to leave them pretty much where they are. I mean, I failed the assault there, and so that's that. I'd rather see how successful the ISIS initial attacks are, because they might fail abysmally if their fatigue's up and allow the opportunity for counter-strike to be a little more obvious. So it's now another ISIS turn, and they've got this huge stack here. They're probably not going to go up against this armour division, but they might try and crush this. Interesting. Interesting. I'm not really thinking too much on this. I mean, I think if I was doing this another way, I would have looked at the options a little more. It's quite a big battle. Maybe calculate some of the odds, look at where some of the other units are. So I'm really just trying to play on the fly. But I think this is a good assault. First. 5-1, defender eliminated. I think that's what ISIS sort of want to do. My incredibly slow computer. So, first piece of success for ISIS after suffering from all that artillery. Now they might want to go in there, and although they've got this huge stack, it can only do one thing at a time. And this is now all open. I mean, it's probably going to have to at least contend with this stack. Because I've got a slow connection, it's being silly. Reloading. It wouldn't surprise me if it just blows up. Okay, so the question I think for ISIS is whether to slide these units around this way or to push through this relatively weak space here, or to push into there. Now, one of the things that I think is interesting about this game is the way you get big stacks here. You don't really want a big stack, and this is relatively safe because it can't be easily enveloped. If I move into there with everything into one stack, it's not going to be too difficult for him to suddenly envelop that unit, because he'd only have to move that there, that there. I mean, this might be a little harder, but if this unit actually retreats to there, that would be okay. And that could move there, and that could move, you know, the dynamics are such that that could be a dangerous place for ISIS. And so I think ISIS is going to try and play it safe by pushing everything around. Just shuttling around this way. I think that's how I'm going to do this. Like that. Just really focusing on hammering at this end. And that will force him out of his being dug in. Now over here, just keeping moving. I mean, this threatens that and that. And if he moves into there, I can, you know, there's a lot of options here, including Syrians counter-attacking. So that's that. Okay, the Syrians and their magical artillery. Now it's turn 6. There's only 4 more turns before they start to get some air power in. And I think this stack looks. They've got some fatigue, so I think I'm going to try and get something. Now, 2, 4, 6 times 50%, which is 5.2. So this 5.2, I could get in this armour, 14, this artillery, could be 22, probably 4 to 1 odds. Let me go back and have a look at that. This is the problem with these relatively big, this isn't a particularly big game, but once it gets quite big you really need to start thinking a little more, just before you start sort of doing lots of things. So I could get a 4 to 1 on that, and that there's a potential on 4 to 1 of a defender eliminated. But I really want to be dealing with this stack first, and I've got some units here. I think, to be quite honest, I should be focusing on this stack. This, and the thing is, he will advance, leaving that open. You can shuffle all these things around, possibly. There's a road connection through there. Let's just do it. I don't know what the full odds are, but we'll see. Defender retreat, 1 to 1. This is what games are about. 1 to 1. Defender retreat. And I keep thanking my lucky stars that don't retreat over rivers. I don't know why. I'm pretty certain they don't retreat over rivers, but that was an interesting result. Still leaves things open. And this way you need reserves. I need to fill these spaces. And they don't have anything to fill them with. Now it leaves me really thin over here. So thin that I don't think I'm going to bother trying that. I was initially, because I can move him 1, 2. In fact, I'm going to. 1, 2. And that completes that. If I only had 1 more item, that is basically spent up. Now the question is, do I move into there? No matter what I do here, I've been outmaneuvered, except for the fact that I could probably, I think I'm going to have to attack. So it's getting dynamic and fluid over there. A lot will come down to chance. Two to 1, that's good odds, but an exchange. So, well, that pushes his fatigues up to 6. It's only the first fatigue for this unit and this unit here. Get a 2 to 1 on this, or 1 to 1. actions. 1-to-1 attack or retreat. I didn't need that. So things are looking a little dire over on this side. Although he didn't seem to get any fatigues, which is not right. But there you go. So that's that. So I think the Syrians have fought their way back. I think that could be fairly telling. The Iraqis have to decide what they want to do. ISIS decide what they want to do. Attacking that stack is probably not going to be a good idea. Moving everything into there might be all they can do. I think he's going to now move into there, giving him defence. He's going to move into there, giving him. So they're now all doubled. These guys failed to protect this right flank. Here. Myself a flank here and attack into there. Now obviously it's going to stack me up, but let's see what happens. Four to one, defender eliminated. This is what ISIS want to do. Now they've removed 2 units from the game. That's really shifting the balance of power. I think these ISIS people are now going to move into Raqqa. Getting into Raqqa is that's a strong. There's a lot of defence there. They're going to be a lot harder to get out now. The fact that they're in 2 stacks is not really a big issue. They aren't the units now to get the surrounds. They've taken out 2 units. That was fairly useful. So that's them. Oh, did I press a button or not? Who knows? Okay. It's one of these 2 stacks. Let's see what this does. Not really calculate the odds. 2 to 1, which are good odds, and an exchange, which is terrible news for the Syrians. Over here, I think they really only have one option. It's to start going for the 1-to-1 odds over the desperate odds. At least they have the air power to look forward to. 1-to-1 and exchange. Okay, well we're coming up to another 15-minute break, so it's looking good now for the ISIS player. They should at least be able to punch into here. They don't necessarily need to defeat the Syrians, because once they can get into this dense urban, they'll be the defensive factors will be much higher. Well, I'll switch it off there. I'll see you in a tick. So, ISIS have made a fairly significant entry into the western part of Raqqa. And the Syrian army is causing an equivocal amount of hardship on the eastern side, although at much lower factors, which is quite interesting, leaving the central part with just artillery. Now, I will note that in future developments, artillery will be tuned down so its defence is a lot lower, but that's yet to be done. Anyway, I don't think there are any more Syrian moves. No. That was a shame. Could have really changed the odds on that. Anyway. Now. Bad guys. I'm not sure what I'm thinking, but I just want to get a significant number into the dense urban, if not all of them. In fact, I think I might try and move all of them. But what I will be doing before I commit to the rest of these, I want to be I'm even going to take this unit out. They're at 1 fatigue, or this unit, they're both at 1 fatigue. So this unit is obviously going to be doubled in the in light urban, which means that my odds are basically halved. Whereas if I do this one, I can stand a chance of eliminating him, and also then putting myself in the open, and possibly being attacked by these units, although these units will probably be attacking these units, I don't know. Or I'll split my forces 2 and 2, because I go for 1-to-1s against that, possibly get some good results. Decisions. Fatigue 1, push 1, push 1. To keep it quick, I'm just going to move everything into there. It's worth 4. 1, 2, 3. 3-to-1 odds there. Split it, get 2 lots of 2-to-1. I think what I'm going to do is put 2 units into here. So, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. So some of these units are quite fatigued. So all the fatigued ones to attack that in the open. 2-to-1 in exchange. Well, and the rest. So what I try to do there is just 2 smaller attacks. 1-to-1. One smaller attack wins. Defender retreat, which is good. So that's not too bad. Defender retreated presumably into there. It's now at 3 fatigues. So it leaves me 2 squares there. I might leave some units stacked in there actually, because it gives me potential for getting a surround on this unit, and it certainly limits his capability to move about. Okay. Yes, so that is the ISIS turn. Syrian turn. What does the Syrian player do? Did I forget to move these units? I think I did. Oh well. Damn. To make up for forgetting to move those, I'm not going to move these. Or should I? What I'm actually going to do with these is what I think I should have done earlier. That was wrong. I want to do that. Start moving them this way. I can give this ground up. I should have given that up earlier and defended along here. That's what I thought. So what we want to be doing here is doing as much damage to a stack as possible. Now this is probably the least defended. 4 fatigues, 4 fatigues, 4 fatigues. Well, that leaves one's 2. 1, 2, 2. So this is actually quite decimated. I think I'm going to try, although there is something that I want to do before I start. This is what is frustrating me a little. I'm not sure whether it's the game or whether it's me, but you want to engage in an assault, but you don't want everyone going into one hex. It's silly, so you really got to sort of be careful about who you move. Now, I think I'm going to have to move my artillery. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move my artillery there. I don't think I'm going to move him there. That's a good place. And then move this. I'm not going to commit that unit because I don't want to lose every single space surrounding me. Six to 1, defender eliminated. So that's goodbye to 3 or 4 ISIS units. So it's going round, swings and roundabouts. They've lost some heavy units, and so Syria. Next turn. Only 2 more turns till they get their air power. Now, what does ISIS do? Well, I think ISIS probably maybe wants to start getting into this part of the world and maybe attacking the artillery, although very possibly split the forces up and try and decimate that unit by moving 1, 2, I think this is sort of game that deserves to be played a little slower, because I'm trying to just give maybe a possibly entertaining video together. Yep, look at that. 5 to 1, defender eliminated. These are the sort of things that make it a little different from some of the games I've played fairly recently on video. You can get the odds and you can eliminate units fairly readily. So, although that was only 1 unit, it was only 1 unit, so it's not as impressive as I thought it was. Now here, the thing is, he's 8 in dense urban, so he's automatically 16, 24 plus whatever's in there, so it's another 6, so that's 30. I'm just not going to get the odds on that, which is a shame. 2, 4, 6, 8 plus 20%, which is 9.6. So 1 to 3, 1 to 4, it's not worth it. Get an attacker eliminated at that rate. So that's the ISIS player. Syria player, well, he's still got his big units. And I think there'll be this little attack over. No, I think there's only really aren't the options. We've got to at least try. There's quite a few of these units are depressed. Or not. I'm not really thinking this through, but I think that I've got to attack. 1 to 2. Attacker retreats. That bad. Well, that wasn't good. And this little attack over here. I'm not going to do because the odds are just not going to be in my favour. So end that turn. I think the ISIS player has definitely got the centre of Raqqa there. They can't really attack too readily. But if they're quick, they might be able to do some damage over here. Or not. See what we can do over there. Well, that was 1 to 1, but there's an attacker retreat, so that's not good. What to do here? They could do a straight assault into there. I think he's going to leave it at that. And I think what I'm going to do push things around like that. Okay. Well, now the Syrians get their air power. And I think the safest thing to do will be to start attacking these little guys here in the open. Seven to 1 odds. That was good. No, it's because he's so depressed. There's not much left of that unit. Artillery. Well, I had a little break there. But, yeah, so, artillery. Now that's interesting. There's 3-to-1 odds. Okay, defender eliminated. Well, that's nice. Artillery advancing. Oh dear. Yeah. Artillery do not want to be advancing in combat. I thought that is actually impossible to happen. It could be that it's because it's an old unit, it might not be flagged up as artillery. Now he's in the light urban. Oh well, can they recover from that? Looks like I've got some movement. I really need to help defend that artillery. Well, he's not worth anything there. Just leave him. Why won't he do that? Oh no, because he just moved. Yep, -4, so that's correct. He just moved. God, time flies by. Okay, presumably he's just moved as well. No, he's got some movement. I think he's going to stay there. I really want to sort of get in there. 1-to-1 an exchange. Oh, that's tough. ISIS. Okay, well, I think maintaining their forces in the dense urban is going to be to their advantage. That's all they're going to do. Except move into there. However, I'm going to do it in such a way, and it's easily got 4, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, so he's going to be worth 4. Smile depressions, that's 1-to-1, 2-to-1. Yep. 1-to-1 exchange. What? Now the situation we got here is sort of interesting because you could interpret it as being the sort of stalemate that I think a lot of these people are in. They read the reports and there's 2 sides in the city. So, well, how can they stay there? Surely they would keep fighting each other. Well, they can't afford to fight each other. Now, that was an exchange. They can't get the odds either way. Now, we yet to see whether or not the Syrians with these big units can get the odds against this stack, maybe. But even so, they're fairly tight. I left it like that. I am trying to play fast, but I don't think some of these units are now dug in, so they're even harder to get out. Now, the air power, I think maybe now this unit is so tired, I mean, it's worth nothing anyway. It's worth sort of, I mean, it won't get any worse than that. It's 10% value, so it's 0.2. So it's not going to be attacking anyone. These units are relatively tired, but they're in heavy urban. So they all get a defensive factor against air power for being in heavy urban. So the air power is really going to start to be fairly weak. I think I'm going to go against this stack here. One to one, not too bad, but no result. Okay. Well, not a lot of options. I think possibly trying to take out this stack. Two to one and an exchange. I mean, these odds can be quite frustrating because that would have been a good result. But now they're sort of stuck. I think we can move, possibly try and get into there. One to one and an exchange. See, I mean, neither side can really afford to attack the other. Not ideal. Okay, it's turn. See, I mean, this sort of, you could almost say, well, this is going to be a stalemate now because neither side has. Well, I mean, both sides are weak and they need to rest. So if there were morale factors or supply chain rules in this game, now you'd be sort of checking on those and sort of saying, well, you know, they're not going to advance. Syrians would be repulsed from the centre of the city, and you know, that might be it. And there would be international things, you know, people saying, stop the war and send in the Red Cross and things like that. But I'm not sure what the ISIS people are going to do, because they're going to get attacked with air power every turn. There's a big unit in there, a big unit in there, and a big unit in there. Question is, can we afford to attack it without putting ourselves at risk of getting a defender retreat? So let's have a look at the odds. Let's see if we can calculate the odds anyway. So they got 12 units in, so double to 24. Fatigues 3, nothing, and 3. So probably about 22, let's say. Fatigues 4, 4, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4. So they're fairly mildly fatigued. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, down to about 10 versus 22. So they're going to be at 1 to 2, possibly 1 to 3. It's not really worth it. Although, quite honest, if they don't, they're just going to sit there and get hammered away by their artillery. Now, so the Syrians are thinking, well, we can't really afford to attack into this heavy urban. They've now dug in. They'll be entrenched. If we continue to let them wait, let's see what the air power can do. One to one, no result. I mean, if I was the Syrians, and I think I might just play it like the Syrians, I think I'm just going to wait it out. 23 turns of air power. Why not? Bombard these people. 1 to 2. Attack and retreats. Okay, end turn. ISIS, end turn. Okay, Syrians. Okay. Air power. Defender retreats, that's good. Although they don't retreat, their fatigues now will be a lot higher. 7. 7. That could be a game changer. Although, because of the little quirk in the rules, I'm not going to do that because I don't want my artillery advancing. Now, the nice thing about this artillery piece is because he's fresh, it's still worth 8. Once everyone becomes fatigued, that's actually, it's quite a difference. 1 to 2, attack and retreat, but even at 1 to 2 I could roll up, so that's their turn. Now ISIS have got to make a decision here. Do they really want to just sit there and get destroyed? Or do they want to make some really difficult moves? I think what they're going to do is they're going to secretly, without me knowing, prepare to take this unit out. They're going to maneuver themselves. They're maneuvering. They're getting worried. Why not? But they're still not going to do anything. And I don't know what they're doing. I'm thinking, well, we're Syrians and don't know what they're doing, but they've moved out of this hex. Well, I should have left something in there to give them the tense that I was still in there. And so, what does the Syrians make of that? Well, I think they can see through their plans. The result. Now that was good. 1 to 2, and they got an exchange. What that actually means is that this stack has now been gone up 1 depression from 3 to 4. We're coming up to another 15-minute gap there, so the ISIS player really can't do anything because they can't carry out their dastardly plan, which really allows them just one thing, and that will have to wait until I get back because we've got a few seconds. Well, what we had there was the ISIS player thinking, well, they will just sit there in Raqqa and wait for the Syrians to make a move, but because the Syrians have got air power coming in, they're getting a bit of a pounding, and they lost quite a bit of manpower in one of these stacks. So much so that it's just not worth them sitting there. They have to do something, and so they try to surround this unit here. This mechanised infantry unit, which is quite large, although relatively fatigued, 60% capacity, has moved across to stop that. But the ISIS player is still, I think, eyeing that up because they really don't have much choice. They have to do something, so I think I'm going to move there, there, and I'm not going to be able to shift that unit. Now this stack is going to be relatively weak, so with all this, but this is only for the front. So if I was playing this, I might sit down and think the odds through, but I mean this is pretty much all they can do. This is their last opportunity. Well, 1-1, or 1-2, that wasn't too bad. An exchange, it could have been worse. So they're now trying to fight that, but this unit is probably going to. Looks like it's going to. The tide has turned for ISIS. Air assault. Oh, do they really want to waste an air assault on that unit? Then they could possibly hammer away at much bigger units. Let's just try this. Let's just see what we get. Well, 1-2, it's not too bad. I'd rather go for a 1-2, no result, but there could have been a fatigue on all of those units. So that wasn't too good. But I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to walk straight over this unit. So much so, I'm just going to give it a go. 6-1, defender eliminated. Yep. The thing I like about this game, other than the fact that it's mine, is that to some extent it's intuitive, and that's what I'm trying to sort of get through. Although I'd rather sit down and maybe think about these odds a little more, I don't like just rushing through things, just a bit of video, but you know, that was pretty obvious, although it's, you know, I mean, it's not literally that obvious, but you can sort of just do things like that, and things that you see do make sense. Was in the open, fatigued, strong unit, so there you go. So that's that, and we will take it. We'll take a surrender. They can surrender if they want now. What? They don't want to surrender. Okay. And we'll do the bitter end, maybe. I'll leave them there. In there. And how about this? No, 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 no. How about this? I don't like doing it this way. I should. I've rewritten the code so that the artillery didn't double up and the rocket didn't double up, but I think actually putting them in this part is not what I had in mind. They should be down here. It's just I wanted to leave them in there so they could count for flanks, but I think what I don't want him to do is advance, but I don't think I'm going to get an advance here. So much that I'm prepared to take the risk. But his artillery, holy, oh no, he didn't advance. But the defender, 1-2 odds, the defender retreated. Now that was really good. I wasn't expecting that. That's interesting because I've still got a lot of moves left. Okay, so I fired my artillery out of there. Thankfully, he didn't advance. Somehow he advanced before. I have to figure out why. Perhaps it was on a defender eliminated result. That might have been what happened. Anyway, so he's retreated into there, which pretty much means there's not a lot left of him. No, 5, 7, 7, 5, 10, 10, 4, what's that now? 6, 2.6, 0.6, 4, 5, 6. That's 7. Doubling up to 14. 2 to 1. I'm not going to attack. Not yet. Not going anywhere quickly. Run away. What? You're not going to run away? You still want to stand and fight? Just a flesh wound. Okay. Okay. Brave move. And split some of the stack like that. I could argue that they still control Raqqa. Air power. One to 2, no result. Okay. Artillery. I'm just basically the Syrian move at the moment is Syrian strategy at the moment is just to sit there bombarding them, carrying out airstrikes. When I've whittled them down a bit more, then I will assault. So it's got big units, no fatigue, 4. It's fatigued, slightly fatigued. Okay, ISIS are going to make their move. They don't want to sit there under this constant artillery barrage and airstrikes. You know, they're just losing slowly when they do that. I mean, you can't get better than everyone, and this is a good hex to go against. It's that artillery that they want. Attacker retreats. Well, what can you say? Good night, Gracie. That's what you could say. Okay, well, I think we can maybe pummel this stack. There can't be much left in there. About 2 to 1. Right here, 2 to 1, 1 to 1 exchange. Well, that's another 3 to pressure factor. Putting some of them, so 4, 11, 6, and Suddenly not responding again. Reload the page. That's the one I want. Auxiliary. Exchange. I think that was from that anyway. In turn. ISIS have got their back to the river now. I think they're going to have to at least defend the exit. Yep, that should do. Okay, here's the Syrian Air Force. Light urban, 1-to-1, and exchange. Okay. See if we can get defender eliminated. No, defender retreat. Not worth anything, no. So what I've got to do now is defend. Turn 20. Probably the same unit. Okay. This is the last ditch effort on behalf of ISIS. Not sure how strategic. Once it gets to this sort of bitty end game, it becomes a bit sort of, I'm not sure how strategically or tactically. Oh, look at that. ISIS got a late victory. Defender retreats. Yeah, well, that stops them being hammered against the river. But it still probably won't save them. Moments to go. Okay, that was good. An exchange. Every one of those units has now gone up a depression factor. One of the perils of stacking, and everyone will attack. Let's see what we can do. Seconds to go. Defender retreat. Okay, well, another 15-minute break there. Okay, this last segment, as the video going 15-minute blocks, will definitely be the last, because I'm about to declare that I think I try to keep a semblance of reality, hexagonal reality, in these things, and I think that the ISIS player is definitely going to rout. I'm going to play that. They're not going to try and fight anymore. I haven't really sort of looked at it, but 8 factors, 8, 13, 13, 7, 7, 11, 6, 18, 8, 8, 13. You know, they are just, there's nothing below 6, and the majority of it is 100% decimated. I don't really want to do any formal route rules for two reasons. A, I don't like it when you're playing a game and all of a sudden it ends because of an arbitrary reason. There's a route and they've run away. We're not playing an artificial intelligence here, so you can make those decisions yourself, as I'm making now. So as such, the ISIS player will now try to retreat. Now it doesn't have too many options, but it can move here. I think the units it lost were its. There you go, there's a mobile unit. Well, what I'm trying to do, how slow it is. Trying to find that unit, because that still has some movement left. So this is one. Another one. Should have gone there. I think if we can get them to the edge of the board, then I can declare them having routed. But that's it. I mean, they can't move any further. I should have moved him there the same route he went. Oh no, he can do it. Yeah, he did that. So these units, I think, are off the board. However, they're not quite off the board. How mean can I be? Yeah, I mean, they just don't exist. Well, let's blow them up with the airplane anyway. 7-1 odds, defender retreat. So they've been blown up even more. And I'm not going to get an outflank. Interesting to have a quick review of the fatigues. Depression 4, 3, 6, 2, 2, 6, 1 versus 6, 18, 8, 8, 13, 8, 8, 13, 13, 7, 7. I mean, they pretty much don't exist. If I don't get a defender eliminated on this, I'll consider myself hard done by. 7-1. Defender retreats. Well, that is it. ISIS are running away, and and because I can't go off the board, I mean, I could maybe think about doing an off-board movement. Because I can't go off the board, that will be it. So I'm not even going to bother with another. Okay, that's it. So Raqqa remained in Syrian control. Now that was tight, and that was an interesting game. I do try to make a point of not all these games are really particularly playable, but it's quite interesting how many of them are actually quite playable. I mean, that was quite a stonking game, and I think I could play it again. The only thing I would say is it's taken quite a while, much longer than I thought. These games don't just take 15 minutes. I think you can have a look at them in 15 minutes, but I mean, that was a pretty solid game. I mean, I could have a game of Monopoly in that time. So, not, not as, and I think that was a sort of I got a mid-range game. I mean, it's not like some of the big ones. So, I'm quite happy with how these small games play out. Not afraid to create small games. Okay, well that's it. 22 turns. And I will put these together, stitch them together in YouTube, and upload it for your visual pleasure. And remember, you too can play this game at warblog.co.uk by signing up and spending your money to play the game instead of just watching it, and to see how you would do, etc., etc. Cheerio for now. Bye.